Africa, 40,000 BC. A simple bone is carved with complex calculations. And so, coding is born. On that site now stands the House of Ranks and Numbers, home to the centum. Within the house are innumerable tesseract rooms. What awaits you in these rooms? New frontiers? Or a city? Washington, D.C., 1967. Dr. Sidney Schaefer was a swinging psychiatrist with a sex bunny girlfriend and a thriving practice. That was until the Central Inquiries Agency recruited him to become the president's shrink. On call always, Schaefer became clinically paranoid upon noticing mysterious clicks on his phone. He even suspected his girlfriend of surveilling him. Turns out, Sidney was correct. Worse, his disturbed mind manifested through sleep talking. Uncertain who to trust, and determined to protect presidential secrets, Schaefer escaped. He hitched a ride with psychedelic superheroes who were likewise being pursued by, not one, but two, cults. Afterward, he became a roadie for a rock band comprised of monsters called Scare Tactics. However, his run ended when Kropotkin, a KGB agent, captured him. Fortunately, the agent required an analyst to cope with losing his mother to Stalin's purge of 1937. Grateful, Kropotkin contacted his CEA friend, Don Masters, to return Schaefer to American custody. In a twist, Masters was manipulated into delivering Sidney to the phone company. The CEO pitched a deal wherein Schaefer would relate his assessment of the president's psyche. It was then Schaefer noticed a charging cable emanating from the CEO's foot. The CEO revealed all employees are chained to the phone company, each according to their talent, each according to their function. Made in Detroit. Of course, the CEO conducted a boardroom presentation. The animated presentation illustrated the cerebrum communicator, a modern electronic miracle. Implanted in the brain, the neural link would enable one to contact another person without an external device. One would only need to think of a number, the number of a person, rather than a name. A joint CEA-KGB extraction freed Schaefer and exterminated the rogue bot CEO. At that moment, Masters looked at the CEO's face and whimpered the name of Marvex. However, months later, cameras surveil a Christmas party attended by Schaefer, Kropotkin, and Masters. The surveillance was by the phone company's executive board, each an automaton identical to the old CEO. The new CEO presented Zero, an AI information exchange and archive. Zero made their purpose crystal clear. Corporate decisions are to be made by corporate executives. Corporate executives are to make corporate decisions. Following the Apocalypse War, the phone company joined the corporate society and absorbed Global Broadcasting Corporation to form International Communication and Commerce. 13,000 years ago, meteors striped the night skies. But these were no ordinary meteors. No, they were comprised of creation metals, shrapnel raining from a war in the heavens. France, 1760. The so-called Wonder Man of Europe flees for his life. Records of his many births and deaths have been determined as forgeries. He was considered a genius in art, politics, and alchemy. In the dead calm of the night, he carries an Eternium elixir and an nth metal dagger. Suddenly, his horse is spooked and freezes. Before him stands an armored woman blocking the road. She is 6 feet in height. Her horse appears to creep around her as territorially as a wolf. The Wonder Man of Europe turns and frantically races away. She follows, her laughter echoing throughout the hilly countryside. She easily catches up to her quarry's horse, slicing off his hind leg with her nth metal sword. Her quarry crashes into the dirt, throwing the elixir in the opposite direction. The armored woman dismounts. Seemingly seeing in the dark, she retrieves the elixir and consumes it, licking the bottle's edge for good measure. It is then her quarry's dagger is thrown, piercing her throat. Choking on blood, sucking on vacuum, the woman pulls the dagger from her throat. The Wonder Man of Europe is then trampled by her horse. Broken, the man cannot heal quickly enough. Regaining her ability to breathe, she stands over her quarry, utters a few guttural words from a lost language, and decapitates him. Once, the Wonder Man was Clan Arg, brother of the bear tribe of the Atlas Mountains. Now he will be remembered as Count Saint-Germain. The armored woman rides off to seek more Eternium. She remembers being Kyra Arg, sister of the bear tribe and huntress of the lion, bird, and wolf tribes. Now and forever, she will be known as the Infinite Woman. 1965, California. He was the cause amidst the absurd. He was Father Darklight. He vowed to create a new aesthetic, to undo the law of irony in the universe. He sought soothing agitation, the wisdom of ignorance, and the light from the dark side of the moon. And so, he founded the Indigo Children, an artistic collective. However, an artist's soul was fuel to keep the lantern aflame. Fortunately, the scheme was exposed by the Rainbow Children. The lantern flame was extinguished, freeing the souls tortured within it. The flame was then reignited using Darklight's soul. Afterward, Catherine Reynolds, Darklight's star pupil, assumed leadership. And the Indigo Lantern? A ring was forged from pure imagination and charged with lantern light. That way, cleansing could occur without feeding the lantern flame with souls. Jordan Markent arrived in America as a climate refugee with his extended family. The hearty Norwegians overcame to survive as strangers in the strange land of Omaha, Nebraska. Eventually, they were approached by the Blue Valley Chamber of Commerce. The chamber partnered with local banks and realtors to grant low-interest and even zero-interest loans. The Markents thought their hard work and credit history had paid off. Their American dream had come true. But with success comes criticism, even detraction. Locals shunned the Markents. Although his parents bid him to pay no mind, Jordan lashed out. Protesters, vandals, and looters. Jordan conflated their actions with inferior attitudes, laziness, xenophobia, and jealousy. After all, his family was nothing if not superior. Secretly, the Markents were descendants of the Ymir, natives of Niflheim. His family were immigrants twice over. First, to ancient Scandinavia, then to modern America. Jordan stalked anyone who disrespected his family's success. He disguised his murders by freezing victims during harsh Midwestern winters. Eventually, Jordan began murdering the poor and the homeless. During the Apocalypse War, the Markents warehouse and storage sites were contracted as distribution depots for the World Army. However, aerovans bombed Omaha into ruins. Jordan lost his siblings and extended family. Afterward, his family, despite its wartime contribution, was unable to rebuild. The very same banks and realtors denied them access to business and housing loans. Instead, stateless families were offered the same loans the Markents once enjoyed. The Markents then learned they received such loans because they were extended family immigrants. In other words, they were immigrants with built-in employees. It was then Jordan accepted there was no just world. And so, he would even the playing field, by any means necessary. Jordan explored venture philanthropy to seek those truly worthy of having an American dream come true. But with success come competitors, even enemies. To ensure his success, Jordan opted for intimidation, blackmail, bribery, favors, and murder. The more successful he became, the more enemies he made. From the newly christened Blue Valley to the surviving powers and even the petty states, Jordan was overcome with legal, political, and economic roadblocks. Some roadblocks were of the super-heroic variety, and so Jordan Markent opted to fight, fire with fire. Metaphor aside, the Injustice Society of America cleared all those roadblocks. Solomon Grundy was once a redneck gangster named Cyrus Gold, who crashed into Slaughter Swamp during a police pursuit. So greedy, he sank to his death trying to save his ill-gotten gold. However, the swamp was a nexus point for the black. Cyrus was resurrected as a zombie who craved gold. And pants. Solomon Grundy wanted pants too. William Zarek considered the Apocalypse War to be the best thing that ever happened to him. Under various aliases, he robbed, conned, and hustled various wealthy dupes. As William Zard, he pickpocketed tourists and planted evidence on resort staff. As Frederick Garth, he conned crypto investors. And, as Asmodeus Zard, he rigged bets at members-only casinos. Eventually, he was forced to flee America and wound up crossing the Himalayas into Tibet. There, he was taken in by a cult leader known as the Black Lama. The Lama was a magician adept at the Golden Globe of Power and the Wand of Glastonbury. In time, Zarek became a close confidant of the cultist. During a sleight of hand session, Zarek murdered his teacher. Zarek knew he was the prisoner of a charismatic cult leader and was just biding his time to escape. Although unable to work the Golden Globe, he could, however, work the Wand of Glastonbury. He was then approached by Icicle with an offer he couldn't refuse. For all its problems, the Contemporary is a paradise for Judy Garrick. In 2049, she witnessed her father's execution by Zero, a 9000 series AI, during the corporate wars. Fortunately, a computer virus erased her identity from Zero's databanks. Stateless, Judy was assigned to marry a corporate executive. However, her talent for brute speed reassigned her to a career in rollerball. While speeding around the track, Judy's powers ignited, and she vanished. She crashed into the past, indulging in all its freedom. And why not? Society races toward its entropy. Why not get all you can take in the meantime? Tragically, her spree of carefree ran afoul of her father, Jay Garrick the Flash. If Jay was about selflessness and altruism, then Judy was the reverse. Layla El Fawli and her father, Abdallah, were treasure hunters who uncovered an ancient Egyptian trophy room. Curiously, ancient Eurasian and American weapons were on display. It was then the duo was ambushed by a manhunter. Abdallah was executed for crimes against world heritage, while Layla escaped into the starry desert night. A decade lapsed. While stalking smugglers, Layla discovered an illegal dig site manned by slave labor. Before swiping the artifacts, Layla freed the slaves. Impressed, Khonshu appeared and asked if she would protect the travelers of the night. Sly, Layla mentioned she and her father were once travelers of the night. Indeed they were, concurred Khonshu. He knew the identity of the manhunter who murdered her father, Mark Spector. Billy Turner was a simple food worker. While peddling hot dogs, a car crashed into his cart. Without an arm, a cart, or good credit, Billy wound up victimized in homeless shelters. One night, while clinging to his remaining possessions, a voice whispered to him from around a dark corner. The voice then beckoned him to turn that corner. And there, Billy beheld the Void. Aggrieved, the Void sought to murder Billy, since his mortal enemy no longer existed. Billy's reaction was one of apathy. Surprised, the Void loosened his grip on the broken man. Sitting side by side, the Void related his tale of woe. Once, he was the avatar of supervillains. His opposite was Aal, the avatar of superheroes. His mortal enemy was the Sentry, the agent of Aal. Billy was curious as to his relevance. The Void revealed that Billy was once Scout, apprentice to the Sentry. Something of a Void himself, Billy offered himself as the agent to the Void. Remolded by Dark Force, Billy Turner became no more. Now he was the Sentinel. There is no just world. They just live in it. 1976, New York, the Dark Age. Michael Harper was an undercover cop who figured his criminal marks knew his identity. Rather than kill or misinform him, he was allowed to live and collect evidence. But why? Common gangs and mafia were beneath the cops. Turns out the NYPD was in cahoots with a secret society. Wait, the NYPD was corrupt? Well, I never. Snooping around, Michael was targeted for a plausible accidental death. Fortunately, better fate swooped in at the last second. The Newsboy Legion, anonymous muckrakers, saved his life. However, the cops believed he was dead, and so Michael would let them think he was dead. Inspired by the Newsboy's late mentor, the Crimson Avenger, Michael Harper became the Golden Guardian. During his investigation into the secret society, Golden Guardian earned allies ranging from the streets to exotic locales to the very depths of space, each with a lead on the secret society. Together, Shroud, Stingray, Human Fly, Aqua Woman, Quasar, Star Dancer, Blue Marvel, Ragman, and Golden Guardian hope to experience some light in an otherwise dark age. Are you so experienced? 1955, Seaboard City. the Silver Age. Living constellations ravaged power stations nationwide. Who were these beings? Aliens, gods, tulpas? The Pentagon consulted astrophysicist Tom Pemberton. He had been an apprentice of the long-lost Tom Strong. Pemberton even had an apprentice of his own, Ray Thompson, a boy afflicted with hyperacusis. During a press conference, Pemberton was carried off by Aquila. Wearing an experimental electrokinetic belt, Tom freed himself. Now named Tom Turbine by the press witnesses, Pemberton and Aquila traded lightning strikes in an electrifying duel. Meanwhile, Robert Frank, aka The Streak, was deterring Orion the Hunter from clubbing Seaboard Dam. Noticing the constellation was draining electricity, an electrician suggested Streak bind Orion with grounding cables. Streak, said the electrician was, a credit to his people. Moving on. Elsewhere, National Guardsman Scott Mason was coordinating the blackout response when Sagittarius began aiming right at him. Escaping down a dark alley, Mason ignited his green ring, transforming into the Green Guardsman. However, Sagittarius' arrowheads were aluminum and pierced the Guardsman's force field, striking him down. Nearby, boxer Ted Grant and ring card girl Donna Vance leaped into action as Catman and Black Siren when Solomon Grundy raided a museum. On exhibit was a rusted helm, donated by Kent Nelson. Grundy wrapped the helm in rags. Swiftly, Black Siren's vocalizations calmed the raging zombie, while Catman filched the helm. However, Sagittarius ripped off the museum roof and smacked aside the heroes, absconding with both Grundy and the helm. The constellations congregated at the Pemberton Observatory, where Tom Turbine continued dueling Aquila. It was then all the constellations bowed to Ray Thompson. Ray donned the rusted helm and did some monologuing. Because of course, he did. Ray feared a nuclear war. A mutant, Ray was both a psionic and a macro-manipulator who desired a better world. One which was safe and stable, yet fun and exciting. His world would be a world where a kid could be a kid, no matter what. No nuclear bombs, no scary people, and no bad thoughts. A new normal. Anyone who had thoughts would end up in bad places. All he required was enough power to fuel his daydream. His brain could only generate so much output. But with the helm, he would possess unlimited power. Tom asked why Aquila did not drain his turbine belt. Ray said he could never hurt a friend. It was then the other heroes converged on the observatory. Ray called them bad people and sicked the constellations on them. While Ray conjured his perfect world, Black Siren attempted to lull Ray to sleep. The lulling pained Ray's ears. It was enough distraction to clear Grundy's mind. The zombie then yanked off the rusty helm and crushed it. Ray then dissipated, screaming, visions of a world afire in his eyes. On that day, the Justice Guild of America inaugurated the Silver Age. But no age is perfect, and no hero is either. And yet the Guild's legacy lives on, into a new golden age. In downtown Blue Valley sits a nondescript brownstone. Despite its stately size, it remains rather unpretentious, classy, and classic. It has been christened as the capital of the new golden age. It is the Justice Society brownstone, home to the Justice Society of America. And it was built with one idea in mind: legacy. For legacy is eternal. They are the legacy of justice, freedom, and hope. They are a shining example of what is possible. They are the Justice Society of America. If the Terrifics exemplify family and the Seven Soldiers exemplify honor, then the Justice Society exemplifies heroism. In a world of exclusion and exploitation, the JSA confronts the vilest villainy in or on any world. And who leads this society? Here's the story of a lovely lady. Society was rebuilding when Barbara Whitmore resettled Blue Valley following the Apocalypse War. With her daughter Courtney in tow, Barbara accepted a job at the American Dream philanthropy venture. While resettling, Barbara met a newcomer to Blue Valley, Pat Dugan. He was a special effects engineer who had sold his stake in Stellar Studios. Like Barbara, Pat too was a single parent. Within 2 years, the two families became one. Courtney was far from thrilled. That was until she discovered the secret museum beneath Pat's body shop. Stealing the Star Rocket Racer and the Cosmic Staff, Courtney investigated the abounding weirdness in Blue Valley. While lighting up dark alleys, tunnels, and secret passageways, Stargirl recruited classmates Rick Tyler and Yolanda Montez, school nurse Beth Chappell, and science teacher Rockwell Dodsworth. Tyler was the disowned heir to Tyler Chemo Robotics. Yolanda was an aspiring mixed martial artist. Beth was actually blind, enabled with heightened senses. And Dodsworth was Bill Foster, a scientist whose discovery of Kerbins endangered his life. Together, they discovered the American dream was a front for the Injustice Society of America. The ISA had commandeered an I-class satellite and rare Mysterium to unify a divided heartland. However, Courtney and her cohorts discovered the hypnotic signal would kill millions. From Pat's museum, the ragtag heroes chose relics of earlier ages. Rick chose an hourglass of Miraclo. Yolanda chose the supersuit of Catman. Beth chose AI goggles. Bill chose a cache of Kerbins, and Pat reactivated his adamantium stripe armor. The heroes were triumphant, but the adventure led to more mysteries and battles. Inspired, Courtney sought to rebuild society with justice, and so was founded the Justice Society of America. Welcome to the next age.